The wait is over. This is the video that I have been talking about. I am going to be sharing with you guys how I got my period back naturally. And I'm really excited about this because, as you guys know, those of you who have been following me for a while, especially on Instagram at celestial_fit, you have seen this journey. It had been 2 years without a menstrual cycle that was actually naturally induced, and I had competed for so long and blah, blah, blah. I'm going to get into all of that later, but let's just get into this video. So when I was thinking of how to film this, I didn't really know where to start, but I'm going to tell you guys what I'm going to be covering so you can have an understanding of the broad picture. So essentially lost my period for a long time, competed and prepped for like 1.5 years straight, did 5 shows within a 365-day time period, maybe 370, and then obviously needed to take a break and put my health first because it had been a while since I've had my own period. Back before I even decided to start competing, I had this same problem, and it was 2015. I actually just came off my first show. I gained a lot of weight really quickly, but no period. Then went to the doctor, they prescribed me progesterone, got my period back. Then disappeared again, especially when I started competing now. So essentially, here's some backstory on this. Period can be lost, your menstrual cycle can be lost for many different reasons. It can also be never ending for different reasons as well. Usually never ending is too much progesterone, and when it gets lost, there's so many reasons. My specific reason was because I'm speculating stress, and I'm going to tell you how I came to that conclusion. So I had started by going to the doctor and getting blood tests done, and it was very emotional. I have some previous posts and blogs, which I'll probably link here for you guys to see. But, I found out that I was in menopause, and this was hard for me. I thought, this was going to impact my fertility. I thought that I wouldn't be able to have kids. They were being very unclear. But they said, what we'll do, we'll get you on progesterone, we'll see how you do. Because I told them I didn't want to go on birth control. I know birth control is not the answer. It is something I believe we have been conditioned to think we need for everything. Like it's just a solution, when in reality, it creates a fake cycle, which I'm not getting into. That's not why I'm here. If you want to learn about that, I'm going to give you a resource you can look into. But anyway, so got some blood work done, was put on progesterone. I thought this will be it because last time this got my period back. Didn't work. That was heartbreaking. I was super upset. So then the next course of action was, I can either try to continue to get it back naturally or go into birth control. And they told me that I was at risk for osteoporosis, and the longer I waited, the more I got into menopause, the worse it was going to be. And I said, but this doesn't make sense to me because I lift weights all the time, right? That combats it. But, they're pushing this drug on me, and I was like, all right, whatever. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to take it. I'm going to do what they say. So it'll just be what it is. And I tried my best, after my show, I increased calories a ton. And I started easing slowly off of the cardio, and I just wasn't getting the results that I needed, even with my weight and body fat being higher. So I was like, I guess I'm at a loss. I really want to compete again, so this is my only answer. False. Started going on birth control, talked about this a little bit. Only did 1 cycle because I had horrible suicidal ideations, depression, anxiety, couldn't focus, just was very depressed. So I took myself off of it. I was like, I'm not doing this. I had horrible acne. Just a lot of different things started happening. I was like, it's not worth it. So what did I do? I went to the drawing board. This right here is my period diary because I actually got this book called The Period Manual by Dr. Laura Briden. And it was something that a few people had actually recommended to me. And I was like, fine, I'm going to do it. And I started reading. And I just took a bunch of notes on the things that were applicable to me. And something I came to realize, which I was upset that doctors didn't even bother to look at, that there were other options. And at the time I was with Kaiser, and what happens is they lock you in, you can't access other doctors under your insurance, if you're in Kaiser. So you only get one opinion, and they're all connected, so they won't listen to you if you want other ones. Not with them anymore. But anyway, that's not the point of this. So then I started looking over my test results on my own and comparing them to the information I was getting through research and also through this book that I just mentioned. And I was writing down all the supplements I needed to start being more responsible for taking. And then I went even further and I was like, okay, well, what is the actual cause of mine? Here's what I determined. So I wrote down the results of my test. And essentially they say, you know, hormone imbalances can be caused from a few different things. And one of the blood tests for an excess of androgens is free testosterone. And, you know, there's a few other things too, but this wasn't really that telling for me. So I was like, okay, well, maybe this isn't it. And then I went further and I was like, okay, now I have to look at HPA axis dysfunction. This is also known as adrenal fatigue, something that doctors don't really recognize. Anyway, or at least that's what this book was saying. So the cause of this can be stress, sleep deprivation, circadian disruption. So like if you were to travel a bunch, staying up late, under eating, nutrient deficiency, illness. And I thought, this kind of sounds like it could be up my alley. When this first started, I was working 3 jobs, running my business, going to school as a full-time student. Like I was under a lot of stress, and then started competing, which is like another full-time job for those of you who know, like you put your all into it. So it was just a lot, and I figured, well, this sounds like it could be it. So then I started to look into the hormones behind this. And they said, look at the Dhea test. And I said, okay. And I started to do that. And what I found was that mine was at 118, but the recommendation is 148 to 407. And that's a huge gap. And what's funny, and I'm going to try to make this pretty quick, but I know a lot of you who are struggling with this will watch it, so I don't mind going on about it. But, you know, essentially, in order to resolve an HPA axis dysfunction, you just have to live healthy, and you have to live happy and joyously and restfully and peacefully. But here's the thing. I was still doing a lot of cardio. Even though I had increased my food, it wasn't enough. And I was under stress still. I wasn't relieving my stress enough, and I wasn't taking proper supplements. So I just started throwing shit at the wall and hoped something would stick. Honestly, I did it. I'll admit it. I don't know exactly what made things work. Maybe it was a combination of all of it. I'm beginning to think it was more so about the supplements as well as the food intake and the calorie decreasing. I actually, for those of you who know, as a competitor, reversing out of a show properly is a big goal. It's a huge ideal thing to do. It's something you want to do. I wanted to compete again, and the only way I could compete again is if I got my period back. This was like a decision I'd made with my coach, and he didn't really want me competing in until I had my stuff sorted with my hormones. So long story short, started just loading up on supplements, rest, and joy. Okay, so I started taking black cohosh, started taking evening primrose, magnesium, zinc, and then a multivitamin to cover like all my vitamins. And then, you know, sometimes I'd do like a sleeping tea, and then I also started supplementing with melatonin, which I've been loving, before bed to get more restful sleep. And I cut out all my cardio, all of it, which was really hard. And I increased my food by a ton, making sure I was getting plenty of fats and carbs and proteins. Some people can lose their period from having too much of one thing. Some people lose it because too little. So you have to find what's going to work for your body. So I just started increasing things. And of course, you know, you're going to gain weight from this. You're going to gain body fat, especially coming out of a sensitive period like a show. But this was important to me. And I'm happy, you know, I got my period back. And a lot of you who saw my video announcing it, like I was bawling because it was such a journey for me to get there, like all the things I had to do. But I'm going to show you guys all the supplements I was taking. I'm going to actually take you down to my supplement cabinet and show you. But another thing was just, I started focusing more on reducing inflammation, reducing stress, saying no to, this is something else. I'm glad I took notes. I could tell you guys. I stopped eating anything with, and again, this is why I said it's a lot of just, you know, being healthy. I didn't have a ton of fructose, which is like the sugar from fruits essentially. Only had like 1 fruit per day. And then I had no inflammation causing foods. I rarely drink anyways, like never. So I just didn't drink at all because alcohol and sugar can cause metabolic disruption. So obviously that's not what I want for trying to get my period back, because it's another stress on the body. Your body has to break down. They say, you know, wheat and dairy only if you already have a problem. I've never had a problem, but it's also not something that was in my diet because I'm a competitor and I follow clean eating and meal plan, and that's never been in it. Processed vegetable oils. I stopped using spray vegetable oils like canola oil. I actually started using it again, like here and there. So I don't know that that was the kicker, but I did start using olive oil and cooking on much, much lower heat because you have to, or else it's going to turn into other things. But again, not what this video is for. So here's the other thing. I didn't have any like artificials. So I cut out like the Walden Farms, the spray butters, just anything with added sugars and processed stuff. I cut it out. So I was eating a lot more, still gaining weight, but I did cut out a lot of this unhealthy stuff. So it's kind of funny, you know, you do that, you live a healthy lifestyle, you think, oh, you must not be doing that anyways. Well, yeah, as a competitor, sometimes you just want to make things taste even better. I avoided too much colored supplements, but I was still taking my BCAAs, which most of them are colored. But I did cut as much of that out as I could. Now I'm back to using them and I haven't lost my period because of it. So again, is it the kicker? No, but do I think it helped me to relieve a lot of the stress in my body that I was holding on to? Yes. The other thing is I was still not having my period even after I had quit my job, you know, only a full-time student, running my own business, only a full-time student, only running my own business, yeah, right. And then of course, some of the other work that I do, coaching others. As I was creating the little cheat sheet thing that's summarizing the whole thing right here, I realized I never mentioned the video that I also did seed cycling, which can be explained. Basically, you eat certain seeds at certain times of the month based on your cycle. I started it with the moon when I wasn't having a cycle, and then was continuing this. That started at the very, like right after my show all the way through, and I still do it today. So just want to add that in. I just took care of myself even better, you know, and I let go of control. I allowed myself to just accept that this was my new goal. This was a necessity. It was a requirement. I had to get this taken care of. So I started doing that. Other thing that's good, I started to take apple cider vinegar every morning with lemon and warm lemon water. I usually do warm lemon water. I was, you know, for a while. I really liked it. So then I just started throwing apple cider vinegar in as well, because the vinegar can slow glucose absorption. So this can be helpful, of course, in maintaining or managing blood sugar. And all of this goes back to the main point of stress and making sure I was taking care of myself. And sometimes exercise isn't the problem as much as eating is, and sometimes it's the opposite. For me, I'm pretty sure it was both. So I started mixing up the types of food in my diet, and I started to make sure I was taking my supplements every day consistently. Fish oil was a huge one too. Like I said, I'm going to show you guys all of my supplements, but I started taking a ton and just staying on top of it. And I really think that that has a lot to do with it. Nutrition is the answer. I believe that, you know, what we eat is not only a sign of self-love and a way to love ourselves, but it's also medicine. Can it replace modern medicine for certain things? No. But can it really help us with things like this? Yes. Should we use it? Yes. Should we be mindful of it? Yes. So those are some of the things that I did, and I hope this has been helpful so far. Now I'm going to go and show you my supplements. Okay, so I'm going to take you to my supplement cabinet right now. The other thing is that I really started to be sure that I didn't eat a bunch of processed foods. So like I cut out a lot of protein bars and whey protein and all that, and just really focus on whole foods, which, you know, some people say you should be doing that anyway. Well, you know what? I live how I want to live, and I can learn the hard way, and I did. So here are some of the supplements that I take. I'm going to show you guys, actually. So this is my little cabinet. I'm going to show you everything. So with all of these supplements, I also made sure that I wasn't having anything, like I said, with added sugars or added artificials or anything like that. It's just really important to me to do everything I could in my control, and I believe that a lot of what we can control is in our diet, is in the way we move. So I took control of it, and this is everything I've been taking. So you can look up the individual benefits for each of these. I'm not going to recommend you do or do not take them, but this is definitely the group of supplements that helped me a lot. Some of this stuff I was just already taking, of course. And then this So this is just a multivitamin pack. And yes, I was taking a ton of this, but I actually, whenever I would take these packets, I don't take the fish in it because it makes me super burpy, so I don't use that. But I do use this, less burpy. I take 2 of these, one of these, one of these, one of these, one. You can take up to 3 a day. I usually take it with a few meals per day. But you know what? The main thing is that I hope people take away from this is that everyone's situation is going to be different. You need to make sure you're getting blood work done. You need to make sure you're taking care of yourself, finding what's going to be the trick for you. I had watched videos that said that they stopped working out for a year. I watched videos that said, you know, they actually had to decrease the amount of food they were eating. Everyone's story can and is usually different, just like, you know, whenever you're following a plan, working out, you know, we're not all the same, so we have to keep that in mind. But I do believe these things are very important, especially if your symptoms are similar to mine. Not going to share all of my test results, not going to share every single thing I did. You should have seen my computer, mapped everything out, really got clear on what was necessary for me, tried a bunch of stuff, ended up going to birth control, hated it, had a horrible experience. And this, of course, I also take melatonin. That's upstairs. Should have shown you guys that, but that's what I've been doing. I think that of all these things, honestly, I think that the things that helped me the most were cutting out cardio, which now I'm actually getting back into. I started with doing 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day. Now I'm back up to 20 minutes a day, and I really, really like it. I actually like 20 minutes 5 to 6 times a week. And then also the food. Made sure I started eating more. Now I've cut my calories back down to maintenance because, you know, when you don't reverse out of things, then and you put on different body fat, you know, I've also gained a lot of muscle, which is awesome. But when you end up putting on more body fat, then, you know, sometimes what happens is your BMR actually drops. So my metabolism didn't come out of the show that well. I don't regret it because I got my period back. Sometimes I'm like, oh, this sucks. But I have so much time, you know, not in a rush. And I think this is something huge that we need to remember is that at the end of the day, you have to understand every action you take has a consequence. And consequence can be a negatively connotated word, but it can help you to understand that when you're committing to something, other things might, you know, no longer have the result that you want or you wanted before, and you have to be okay with seeing that change. And I had to be okay with, you know, letting go of the competitor identity for a while, just focus on putting on the muscle so I can come back as a better and healthier competitor. You know, I jumped into all of this really, really quickly so that I could step on stage again, and then it kind of backfired, which, again, not mad about it. I have so much more time to build muscle. It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be great. But, you know, some of the resources, period repair manual, that was really helpful. Of course, getting blood work done by a professional, and just listening to your body. You know, do the things that you know you need to do and be okay with that. Don't put it off like I did. Don't put it off for so long or for so many shows or until you've achieved X, Y, or Z. Just take care of it now, you know, and then learn more about your body. So I've learned a huge lesson. I'm so happy that I could share it with you guys. If you have any specific questions, feel free to ask me. I've talked on the phone with a few of you. I've been able to really, you know, connect with you guys one-on-one and see, you know, what's going on. But I'm not going to coach you through it. I'm not going to be your doctor. This is something you do need to take care of on a personal level, but I'm happy to support you through that process. And yeah, just remember, you know, it's okay to put certain goals on the back burner until you are healthy and feel good. And then you're going to go into it so much stronger, because without balanced hormones, without functioning body, you can't even create the best results that you want or expect from yourself. And that was a huge motivating factor for me. I knew that the better I could function on the inside, the more that, you know, the external benefits will be reaped. So, very motivated, very inspired. I'm excited. You know, I'm going to probably do like a little bit of a cut, see how my body responds, make sure I can still maintain my period. I'll learn how that works, and then go into another building phase, rebuild my metabolism, because I didn't get the opportunity to really do that this time. And then again, come back. Oh, and another thing, no caffeine. I wasn't really drinking much of it, but I just stopped taking anything caffeinated. So I'll make sure all that's in the video. But thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure that you like this video, comment, let me know your own experiences, subscribe if you're on YouTube, follow if you're on Instagram, like if you're on Facebook, wherever you might be while you're watching this. Really appreciate your support. I hope this was helpful. If you know someone who could benefit from this, you could tag them below or send it to them. And with all that being said, I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day, night, or morning, wherever you're on the world while you're watching this video. Just make it awesome.